Vintage JBL presents Nipper in Transformation Muscle Dog.
Hello everyone, this video I'm about to show you is about 3 years old. It is the L88 Plus that I converted into the L100, and this is them right here. I had to completely veneer, restore from top to bottom, rebuild the entire crossover, because the crossover you'll see in the video, there's only one L pad in there because there was no mid-range. So this is a recreation. It's a one of a kind. In the past, you can buy the M12 expander kit, I think is what it was called, and you would have to buy the mid-range and have a pro do it. They didn't just sell you the kit and let you install it. You had to bring it in to get it converted. So if you bought one of these L88 Pluses with the intention of upgrading later, you had to pay them to do it, pay for the additional parts, and then have an authorized dealer install all the components for you, and then they would warranty it. So anyway, I have new veneer on here, new paint. I had to buy the mid-ranges from eBay. I had to put new foam around the tweeters and get the reproduction of the label. So it's a replica, but it's brand new. I have two new potentiometers or L pads, all new wiring on the inside, which is 14 gauge, 99.9% oxygen free. And that's for all the wiring to all the drivers. And in the back, I put the 5-way binding post with the banana jacks to make it easier. The spring loaded just doesn't even accept 14 gauge. I think it's 16 and above. And the last thing I did, and I don't show it on the video, is I magnetized the grill. So I bored magnets into the wood on the frame and into the face of the baffle and buried it, bondoed it in, and now I wanted to put the foam Quadriflex in these frames and not use the, I bought this cloth from Huntley, but I had to rebuild this frame because the frame in the original was all cracked and shot. And I got this Velcroed in. So I rebuilt this frame, and the reason I can't put this in here, because look at how thick this frame is. It's thicker, it's about 1/4 inch, which in all other L100s, it's going to be like this. It is 1/8 of an inch, and it's only about 1/2 an inch wide. On this frame, this is a little over 1 inch, and it's 1/4 inch thick. So if you try to stick this in there, you can see that it is way too, it's too big. You try and stuff it in there, it's just going to be sticking out everywhere. Even if you try to glue it in, it would look ridiculous. So you can't put the foam in this frame, not the one that came with the L88 Plus. So I have a choice, either keep this with the cloth or rebuild a new one, and I don't want to do that right now, so I'm going to leave it as is, like this. So the video is just going to show the transformation. It's not a how-to. You'll get some ideas by watching the video, but it is totally from start to finish how I transformed the L88 Plus into the L100. Check it out, stick with me to the end, and please, before you go any further, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button. Channel's growing, and I have a lot more content that I think everybody's going to love. I start out with the heat gun to remove this label, and usually I'm a little more careful, but I'm not keeping the label, and the potentiometer knob is getting melted as I'm doing this, and normally I would be real careful with that too if I was going to reuse the knob, but I ended up getting 2 new ones, and that one went in the garbage. This is that spot that's reserved for the mid-range, and you just remove that wood plate, and the wiring is already inside, ready to put a new mid-range in, or in this case a used mid-range. And I just take all the drivers out and get it ready for restoration. Now look at the inset of the tweeter there. I end up filling that. I don't know why they did that, but I guess to keep it flush mounted. This is the transducer inside. I actually completely removed that because there's no way to get that M12 expander kit, so it's built onto the back here, and I just remove it, and I'll cut the wires, and I'll just install new banana plugs or 5-way binding post and a brand new crossover that I have to build from scratch. As you can see, there was no saving the original veneer, so I'm sanding it down so the new veneer has something to grip onto. And you can see there's pieces that peeled out on the side here, and scratches all over the tops and bottoms. So best thing to do is sand it down and prep it for new veneer. Now the front was pretty rough, so I sanded down all the way. I get all the original black off because it was very bumpy, and when I put the new coat of paint on, I want it to be nice and smooth. And the same thing with the back. Now on the back I didn't remove all the paint, I just got it smooth enough to repaint. Here's where I'm filling that area where the tweeter is inset and flush mounted to make it look like a regular L100 that needed to be filled, I thought. Now I could have left that alone, but it would have stuck out like a sore thumb. And it's not like I'm not letting anybody know that these are converted, but I just wanted it. I didn't like the way it looked inset like that. So all of this was bondoed. I filled everything with the 2-part bondo, and I'm sanding it down here and getting it ready for the rest of the restoration. This video footage was lost. I thought that it was 2 or 3 years old, and I found it in one of the hard drives, my external hard drive. So this is why I'm putting this together. And I'm using the type of veneer that required contact cement. So I thought this was a great opportunity to show everybody how it could be done if you can't find the peel and stick, which is what I use all the time now, unless the speakers that I'm like L300s or 200s require a 4-foot wide piece of veneer. And as far as I know, or at least from my supplier, I can't get that in a peel and stick. So when you use this type, you have to put 2 coats of contact cement on the veneer itself, wait 20 minutes between coats for it to dry, and then you're going to apply it to the cabinet also, 2 coats. This way you're going to get the best adhesion. And you'll notice that I don't think I had my homemade veneer scraper back then, so I just used a piece of wood and the roller, and it stuck well. But a veneer scraper is going to be your best bet. And see, I'm using right here a smoothed out piece of wood, kind of like the veneer scraper. It's probably where I got the idea. And the next step is, of course, to route. And you could use a razor knife if you don't have a router, but I like to route the edges. It's quicker. Using a razor knife is probably easier, but the only thing I don't like about using a razor knife is that while you're cutting, sometimes it could climb up onto your cabinet, and you can cut the new veneer that you just put on while you're cutting the next piece, or you can cut into the cabinet or the paint. So if you have a router, do it this way, and between each piece you have to sand it down. Each corner needs to be thoroughly sanded, the faces, the backs, before you move on to the next piece. And I think I explained that pretty well in my other videos that are a lot more detailed than this. Like I said before, this is just a conversion video to show the transformation of an L88 Plus into an L100. Now, what I recommend doing this, if you find a pair of L88 Pluses, I would say yes if you want an L100, but there's a lot of work involved. Like here, I had to make a new crossover board, and the holes do not line up on the L88 Plus, so I had to fill the original holes and re-drill new ones to match what a L100 crossover board actually looks like. So I had to make the board and then drill the holes in and put that, I don't know what it's called, but it's a nut that just locks into the material. And after I trace those holes out, I drill them in, and then I do the retrofit. So I'll take that new board that I just made and make sure it works. And I'm using the original JBL threaded screws, so it's as authentic and original as possible. And as you can see, they're all fitting right, as long as you do the pre-drill and make the holes a little bigger, and you do have to countersink that hole so it looks nice, so the screw sinks in and is flush. And here I'm building the new crossover on those boards. So I'm using 2 new L pads and an 8 ohm or a 8 microfarad and a 3 microfarad capacitor, and those are both Solens. I know people have different preferences: Mundorf, Jansten, Auden. Those work great. I've used them before, but they're pretty expensive, and I think these Solens do a fantastic job. Some people say they're a little bright, and yeah, they might be a little bit, but that's what the tone controls are for. Now, if you're a purist and you don't like to use tone controls, then experiment with different capacitors. This video is not endorsing Solen or any type of capacitor. It's just what I used, and it's what I've been using. I've had a lot of luck and success with these capacitors. And all the wiring is new. This is all 14 gauge, oxygen free copper. It's braided copper, but in there I'm using the Wago connectors. And I know I'm going to get a little grief for doing that, but that was just for all the common wires that go to the common connections. I thought it would be a lot easier to use that than to solder some kind of board in that is actually made out of steel anyway and not copper or brass. If you look at the original L100s, there's a little board there where all the wires are soldered onto it, and it's copper onto metal. And I took a magnet to it to see if it was metal, and it is. So the Wago connectors is just a fast way to do it. Here I'm putting in the crossover I just made. Everything fits nice. Now you'll notice that the fronts are painted here. I went out of sequence, only to show that since I was building that crossover, I wanted to show the next part, me putting it in. So it is out of sequence. I'm going to go back to the front and paint and do the staining. So a little bit out of sequence, but that's okay. Here's the back where I'm putting the 5-way binding post on, and L100s don't have these holes drilled in to attach the board, but the L88 Plus does, so I didn't want to change anything or fill those holes, so I left them as is. I just built a new board with the new binding post in. Normally, I do not stain new veneer. I use that JBL formula, and if you watch my other videos, you'll see. I mean, there was one point where I was just using linseed oil, but now I use that authentic JBL formula that has linseed oil and the gum spear turpentine. But this customer wanted these speakers, because these are a customer speakers, so I'm going to do whatever they ask me to do. He wanted them to look more like the old vintage look, which has that reddish hue to it. If I just put a clear on top of brand new veneer, it's going to bring out some color, but it's going to mostly be a brownish tone, where this is walnut stain, so it makes it look more authentic and it makes it look 50 years vintage. Right here I'm spraying shellac on them, so I'm not going to put the JBL finish or linseed oil. He wanted them lacquered, so that's why I'm spraying shellac on it. Shellac is the only undercoat that you can put under lacquer. Here I had to build a brand new frame to set into the grill. So this is the cloth version, and JBL did a lot of their speakers in the brown. I think it was brown or black cloth. I bought this from Huntley, and just, you know, he wanted orange. Now there's no way for me to put the foam quadriflex in there because it doesn't fit with that grill, and I explain it in the beginning of the video why. So here's I think I went out of sequence again here, but maybe I didn't even show where I paint the front and back black. But I just sprayed this product that's a
water base spray from Glidden that's awesome. It's excellent. It's very durable and it's flexible, and it's a matte finish. So yeah, there's a little touch up here and there on the speakers, but for the most part they came up beautiful. And another thing I did with these is I magnetized the grill and the front baffle, so there's no pegs in this, and that was another thing the customer asked me to do, and this was the first time I ever did it, and it turned out great. So now I'm going to put the speaker back together, start by putting the original damping material, which is basically insulation, I think. Normally I'll put new polyester, baffling or dampening in there, but we wanted to keep the original, so I left it that way. The tweeter foams on these 50-year-old speakers is always deteriorated. You can get this stuff aftermarket. There's different colors, so just make sure you don't buy one, buy a set and redo both of them, because some are lighter gray and some are darker gray. It just depends on where you buy it from. eBay or Midwest Speaker Repair or Parts Express, I think they all have them, and it just makes it look fresh and new. It's going to probably last another 20-30 years. These mid-ranges I bought from eBay. They are LE52s. The only thing I didn't like about this set was the dust cap should be inverted, but that doesn't affect the sound. But it would be more authentic looking if it was inverted, and I could cut that out and get new ones and put it in the proper way, but I have too much time and effort into it. And besides, anybody who's looking closely can see that I'm putting the wrong label on, or the foil cal. The foil cals you can buy aftermarket on eBay. There's people that are just making these, and I should have put the black label that said JBL L100 Century, and I do that. I actually change it later, but this is what I ordered, and the customer asked me because he liked the orange logo, the JBL logo, and after thinking this one through, I called him back. I said, listen, you should probably have the original Century label on there, because the woofer is different. The way the stems point downward, so whatever position you put in, they're always going to be like straight down or straight across or up and down if the stems are pointing upward, where the later 123A3 is always on an angle. So I changed that properly. So this is what they looked like when I started. This is what they look like when I finished, and I am going to update the picture. I think that's right there, yeah, on the left side there. There's what I actually ended up putting that proper foil cal in. Now, aside from it being completely authentic with the white grill pegs, which I think are awful looking, I think the magnetic was the way to go, because it's an easy way to take these off and put them back on. As most of us like to look at these speakers while we're listening to our music and enjoy that vintage look with those white JBL woofers. So here's an updated pic of the same speaker that I worked on in the video, and what I did was I changed the foil cal to the original JBL L100 Century all black. That is an aftermarket or a reproduction that you can get on eBay. And I also changed the mid-range and found one that had an inverted dust cap, so that's new. And the woofer is different also. Now you're going to notice that the woofer on this one has some stains in it. I'm going to do another Aquaplast video where I show how to use the Aquaplast just for touch-ups. And that's it for this video. I want to thank you for sticking around, watching it all the way to the end. And again, I'm going to remind you, please hit the like button if you like the video, and for sure subscribe. I have a ton of videos coming out, L300, L200, L110, and an HPM 100. So stay on the lookout for those. They're going to be really cool restorations. Thanks again for watching Vintage JBL.